Hi, everyone. Welcome to Student Scholar Days. I'm Dr. Brian Zuliger. I'm an Associate Professor of Sports Psychology in the Kinesiology Department, and I'm here today to introduce Seth. I've been working with him for several years now as his advisor, one of his advisors in sports psychology, and he came to me and wanted to do an independent study to work on some research, and in our conversations we found out that we have similar research interest, and he's interested in sports psychology, and in particular looking at some stuff with track and field and cross country athletes at the collegiate level. So he helped me out with a study, doing data analysis, transcribing interviews, and working on putting together a manuscript for publication with a study on team building with college cross country athletes. And he'll talk more about that and his experience there. He's been a great student, and he's hoping to use this research to further his skills to go to graduate school and study sports psychology. And I think he's well on his way to do that. And so I want to just introduce Seth, and he'll tell you more about his presentation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Seth Papineau. I'm here to present this current research project for the Kinesiology Department alongside my faculty and research advisor, Dr. Brian Zuliger. Dr. Zuliger and I originally started research together in September 2020. However, this season-long team building intervention originally took place during the cross-country season of 2016. So first, we'll acknowledge what is team cohesion. Team cohesion has been defined as a process that is reflected in the tendency for a group to stick together and remain united in their pursuit of common goals and emotional needs. Team cohesion research has been proven to be an effective method in group development in sport. One of the drawbacks of a lot of team cohesion research is that it focuses on coach and manager delivery, which we feel that we can expand on team cohesion research through the current intervention, which was completely athlete-led. So the current team building intervention consisted of one NCAA Division II men's cross-country team. The idea originally sparked from a professional basketball team who did a puzzle team building intervention throughout the course of a season. It was completely athlete-led. And these athletes would nominate each other for performances and encouragement that would happen throughout the week. So as I mentioned, it was completely athlete-led, athlete to athlete. Athletes would nominate other athletes. And it was once per week. It happened from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. And then it concluded during whatever their championship was or the end of their season. So the methods of the current research was that it was a phenomenological approach, meaning that the intervention happened and then researchers came in to conduct, in this case, semi-structured interviews in which we would try to figure out what the intervention was, what it consisted of, what happened throughout the season, how it impacted certain things or how it did not. And for this specific intervention, it consisted of 22 men's cross-country athletes that we interviewed. And then after that, we transcribed the interviews in order to find codes and themes that we could draw from all 22 interviews, see if there are commonalities and irregularities. So here's a list of the interview questions that were asked. Number one, you can see how did the idea come about? Second, you can see what did it consist of? Number three, you can see what were the experiences like of participating in this intervention? Number four, what is the impact, if you feel, if any, did it have on team cohesion? Number five, this is a little bit of foreshadowing, but you can see that the season resulted in a national championship for the team. Looking back, do you feel that this intervention had an impact on the team's performance? And lastly, number six, do you feel like you would like to add anything? Next, we're going to look at a couple excerpts from interviews from different athletes regarding different questions. So for this one, it was, what did the team building intervention consist of, and how did the idea come about? So you can see they met once a week. Athletes would nominate athletes and give them a puzzle piece. There wasn't any set criteria for what the nominations were for. It could be, as he says, it could be doing stuff that is going to help the team. Maybe somebody had a bad workout and that person gave them a good pep talk. So usually it was 2 or 3 people, according to this athlete, that would nominate, not a specific 2 or 3 people, but in general, 2 or 3 people would be the ones nominating somebody else. And as this person says, the coaches would have never actually take place in the process and never actually nominated anybody, further solidifying that it was completely athlete-led. Here's another excerpt that was in response to the question of what was your experience. The specific athlete said that they loved it. They felt that it was a great team bonding experience and that it was nice to see somebody get acknowledged that doesn't normally get acknowledged. And from a couple of other interviews, we could see that there was a disconnect the season prior from younger people on the team and older people on the team. It seemed like there was a, kind of a division between the two, with some being a little more involved in the championship season later in the season, and then the younger guys who just got there didn't have as much experience, and therefore there was a division. But this person shows that there might have been some connection between them, unlike the previous season. And he says, this specific athlete says that they felt like they didn't really understand the meaning behind the intervention at first, but as it went on, he really felt that it changed not only himself, but the team dramatically. And as sort of like I mentioned earlier, he liked that the upperclassmen reached out to the younger guys to let them know that they are doing well and that they are appreciated and that they mean something to the team. And this kind of goes into this last excerpt from an interview of a different athlete. This is in terms of, do you feel that this team building intervention had an impact on team cohesion, as well as do you feel that it had an impact on doing well at the national meet? And this specific athlete says that they felt it had a large positive impact. They could see that everyone on the team felt that they were important to the success of the team, and that it made the teammates a lot closer, as well as himself, a lot closer to each other. And they got really close as people, not only as athletes and teammates. The results of this team building intervention was that it had a positive influence. This is from the interviews, so this is subjective, but they felt that it had a positive influence on their performance, both during the season and at the national meet. They felt that this team building intervention led to a deeper connection with each other, with their teammates and athletes. They felt that they were emotionally driven in a positive way, and that it increased buy-in throughout the season and throughout the team. And this one is objective, but it did lead to a national championship. And one of the athletes from the interview that actually participated in the national championship race, he mentioned in his interview that while he was racing, he saw one of his fellow teammates that was cheering him on from the sideline, and that he remembered back to this team building intervention, and that it made him have like an extra fire in himself to finish strong for his team. So here's a theme map that I kind of alluded to a few slides ago. This addresses, I believe, about 9 different themes that we found throughout these interviews, and about 3 codes within each. So the first one is that it was completely athlete driven. There were no coaches involved besides asking coach for approval to do the intervention during the season. Athletes nominated athletes. Everyone from freshmen to seniors nominated each other, and that it was open to nominating anyone for anything. And our second theme was that team leaders were the ones that initiated this. So not only did they initiate nominations at first, meaning that they came up with the idea, but they also started it, kind of got the ball rolling at the beginning of the season. They started nominating people for both encouragement related things as well as performance related things. And they were also, the team leaders were the ones that actually gave out puzzle pieces to the ones that were going to nominate somebody if it wasn't already themselves. And the third theme here is team camp preseason. So normally for this specific team, it was seen that team camp was a place to set goals. It was a place to facilitate team bonding and motivate teammates for the season that was coming up. And for this specific intervention, that is where the idea was voiced to the team. And here our fourth theme is impact on team cohesion. From the interviews, it was found that stronger relationships were fostered through this intervention. It had a positive effect, or positive emotions were derived from this intervention, and that it formed positive and more strong personal connections between athletes. It wasn't just we show up to practice and we are teammates, but it's also we are friends outside of practice. A few athletes said that they would even have like breakfast, lunch, or dinner together, even if they didn't live with one another. And here our fifth one is it was before an important practice. So for the specific team, Sunday is a very important day of the week as far as training. For them, it is their long run. So for them to have this nomination process before an important practice in the week, they felt that it motivated them, and then that they would do it before the actual long run. So it would motivate people, especially those that are being nominated or doing the nominating, that they would be even more motivated to run their long run, knowing that they really impacted somebody and that their work was acknowledged the previous week and things like that. It was not forced. No one needed to nominate anybody. I don't know for sure, but there might have been people, who knows, that did not do any nominating or get nominated. And next we have, there was no set criteria. Although a lot of the nominations were performance related or encouragement related, there was no set criteria. You didn't need to do anything as far as like, oh, he got a PR, like we need to acknowledge this. It wasn't like that. But because there was no set criteria and anyone could nominate anyone, it improved the team atmosphere. It made everyone a role model for each other, according to the interviews, and that it really acknowledged outstanding performances if the case arose. And then our next one is there was a meaningful symbol on the puzzle. So in this specific case, a meaningful symbol for this team was the national championship trophy. And on the collective puzzle with all the pieces put together, it was a lot of hands holding up the national championship trophy, which is the end goal for this specific team. It really signified the culmination of the season, the reason why they're running for a lot of the year, just for one race, if you want to put it that way. And it was a visual display of their team goal. Second to last here, we have buy-in from the team. From one of those interviews, you could see that it gradually improved, that there was an athlete who felt that it wasn't very important, but gradually he saw that it was important and that it was working, positive emotions, and it included all of the team from youngsters to the older people on the team. And lastly, we have effect on performance. There were a lot of athletes that said that it had a positive influence on their performance. Because of a deeper connection with their team, they felt that performance was enhanced and that people were emotionally driven to perform better. All right, here we have the applications and implications that other teams or workplaces can implement, is that it was completely athlete led. So in every team, there's going to be athletes. And athletes are the ones that actually go out onto the field or whatever the case may be and actually perform the duty of that sport. So it is important from our research, and we can see that it might be important, is that it is important for athletes to show value towards one another, and not always a coach showing that to athletes, but rather the athletes showing it to each other. It built cohesion, buy-in, and positive relationships. It improved cohesion, which might help with performance, and showed the significance of each teammate. And it was a season-long intervention. So, for instance, for sports teams, they all have seasons. It's one that usually towards the end of the season, you can you have a specific goal at the end of the season that you can relate to at the beginning and work towards throughout the season. And this specific intervention can be implemented. All right, here's a recent example of team building. Northern Arizona University just won, I believe it was their third national title in cross country. It was 2020 cross country national championships, but it was actually a few weeks ago. But because of COVID, it was supposed to happen in 2020, but it actually happened in 2021. Coach Michael Smith of NAU stated that team chemistry was a very important part of what they're trying to build at Northern Arizona University. And he wanted to make sure that the people that they are recruiting that they're recruiting come for the team. It's not at NAU, according to Coach Michael Smith, it's not, NAU is not a place for you to come and just run fast. Yes, you're there to run fast, but you're there to run fast for your team. Like, they are there to win national titles. And this is just a recent example of team building. I don't know exactly how they build their team besides just saying, hey, we want you to come here and run for the team, not just for yourself. But this is further signifying that building a good team with team chemistry, cohesion is important and can lead to success. So what I learned from this team building intervention. My freshman year, we also did something similar to this when I was on the cross country team. And I felt like it really helped build cohesion. I felt a lot closer to my teammates. And I feel like connection is important. If these teammates are people that you're going to see every single day, in season, out of season, in class, whatever it might be on the weekend, it's really important to have a good bond with them, a good relationship with them. And especially if it's the entire team, from people that participate in the championship races to people that are brand new to the team, don't know anybody. It's really important to include everybody together and connect everybody to a common goal and build relationships with one another. Some plans that we have moving forward is that Dr. Zuliger and I are creating a manuscript that we hope to publish in a peer-reviewed journal article, or a journal, peer-reviewed journal. And hopefully we can get that accomplished soon, within the next couple of months. And here are my references for the quotes and definitions that I used. All right, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening and watching this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.